Oh, yeah, wrong one. Welcome to live. Where are we? 304. It was only 2 minutes ago. We were doing 300. So, welcome to the body of the Kirk. Welcome to the theatre of the mind. And I will get into parish notes in a moment. I don't know why I'm pointing that way, because that's where my parish notes are. So that's what we're going to do. And I want to welcome everyone to the body of the Kirk. Garen Davis is in first. Have a great day. That was about 10, 11 o'clock this morning, Garen. So I hope you've had a good day, and welcome to the body of the Kirk. Whoa, Stuart's in early. Evening, Rev. It's 11:40 a.m. right now. Sat in Costa Coffee on my lunch break on the way home. I'll be topping up on the skier's drink. I have to be off. Service to the ranty Rev. Did you have a small tincture of the skier's drink there, young sir? Hang on. I need a quick. Not starting the hibiscus yet. It's too hot. And we have lots to talk about tonight, because the world is an odd place today. So we're going to decode it all, like all of it. Give me 90 minutes, and I'll give you the world completely decoded. Paulie Galtieri says, "Good evening, Adrian. Yeah, utter wrong. Hope you've had a good day. Yeah, not been so bad, Paulie. Welcome to the body of the Kirk." And Des is in the pews already. And we are back in the room, liking them daily decodes, Rev. Now, smash the likes on the way in, ya wrong'uns. Quality, not quantity, is the way forward. Towards that light at the end of the tunnel. I tend to agree with Des. If you're in the body of the Kirk so far, please smash the likes. And if you like these and or the Decoded Dailies or any of the other videos, there's something called hype. You can hype, which I think is kind of the bigger channels that will have more people watching them will get more people hyping their videos. So the more discerning members of the body of the Kirk can obviously hype the video, but it's not going to get anywhere near as all the hypes that Mr. Beast is going to get. Haven't heard from him for a while. Wonder what's going on there. And Tom Harney's says, "Evening all." Oh, bloody hell. Let me just get back to Tom. I literally just barely touched me little mouse. No monkey gags before you start. Well, we went halfway down the page. Hang on, there's Des there. There's Tom Harney's "Evening all." As a wrong philosopher once said, "I ain't no square with my corkscrew hair." Blimey, sounds like a song lyric, Tom. But welcome to the body of the Kirk. Fatal Racing Drivers in West Ham, Fane. Great result for Sunderland. I tend to agree, Fatal Racing Driver. Not so good for West Ham. Just have to hope Spurs or Forest go down instead of us. I think it's going to be Spurs. I mean, I know that Burnley and Wolves are gone, finished, done, pretty much. And it's going to be between West Ham, Forest, Spurs, and possibly Leeds. There's 3 teams within 3 points, 4 teams within 3 points of each other. So I just fear for young Spurs. But Fatal Racing Driver, hopefully West Ham will stay up. Andrew James says, "If Hugh Edwards does make a comeback, he will be behind the scenes of the BBC." Not the first time he's been behind anything. He's not going to make a comeback. He's not. The public won't stand for it. They won't. And the BBC's on its last legs as it stands. So I can't see young Edwards coming back at all. Oi. Amber Nectar. Oh, hang on. The old Bovril. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. The old Bovril. "Evening all. Attacks on Jewish ambulances and the UK wing of the IRG have claimed responsibility. Terrorism now back on the UK streets. Anyone got Mossad's telephone number?" The old Bovril. You believed it was the IRGC? Interesting. All I'm going to say to you is this. When it's convenient that there's a video showing you the attack on an ambulance, you know it's red flag. What can I say? They've got a video. I watched it this afternoon. And that was convenient. I mean, I know everybody's got these doorbell thingies that Amazon sell and everybody can watch what's going on at their front door. But the video was kind of ambulance. Call me a cynical old tart, if you will, but we are going to talk about it tonight. We are, because that is unacceptable. And that, queer as folk Starmer, he's like, I mean, he's not, well, I know Trump says he's not Winston Churchill. He definitely isn't Winston Churchill. He's got no backbone, that man. Don't mention the Ukrainians. Don't. But the old Bovril, I'm a cynical old tart. I see that and go, all right, okay, yeah. No. You're not, as in the great unwashed, as in the moronic people, the MPs in the Zempic Palace. They're not getting that one over on me. Des says, oh no, it's not the light at the end of the tunnel, it's the lamp on the front of the Chaos Express. What was that film? Tom Hanks, Something Express. I'm trying to settle down my throat. Because I've no idea where this cough's come from. Mind you, I've said that before. Soul Rebel, evening Soul Rebel, and the All Bovril and Paulie Galtieri. Paulie Galtieri. I wonder what Adrian makes of this Palm Beach Pete dude. Go on, tell me more. I'll work it out, but I'm not Palm Beach Pete dude. Try saying that when you've had a few hibiscus. So go on, tell me all about it. Ghetto defendants in the body of the Kirk. Where I'm a fully qualified wrong, says the Bovril. I'll second that. Amalia's hey up, all is well. Amalia, good to see you in the body of the Kirk. Bloody hell, early. Have you had dinner? Lewis, buckle up, people. Shit's about to get real. Really? I did say in December that 2026 was going to be wild. We're not even 12 weeks in. We've still got 9 months to go of this stuff. I mean, can we handle it? Of course we can. We're the parishioners. We're the congregation in the body of the Kirk. We can take anything. Hang on a second. I think we'll give rather than take. I'm not, I don't want Starmer thinking he can come in and grease up. Tom Harney's, remember diversity is our strength. You may say that, Tom Harney's, but I can't possibly comment. Enver says, huzzah! HMS Dragon has arrived in theatre. Really? Theatre? We were wondering where it had got to, because it's taken them nearly a week. I mean, did they go and did they have the flip-flops on? Did they go and get the deck chairs out and take a couple of days in the sunshine, in the Med, as a bit of a holiday before they got to the Straits of Hormuz? I have no idea. Hang on, Enver. Huzzah! HMS Dragon has arrived in theatre, that means it's where it's supposed to be, and is running up its weapons systems to integrate into the Akrotiri GBAD environment. Whatever that may be, I know Akrotiri, makes up for Chuck Norris passing on. You see, Chuck hasn't chucked. He's still around. He's kicking and flinging. I mean, he's the hardest man in the world ever. But his agent had to come out and go and say, oh, everyone's saying Chuck has passed on. Chuck called me and said Chuck's not passed on, but if he ever does, he'll let you know. So his agent says, no, he hasn't passed on. And then I read in, 3 newspapers carried it at the weekend that he died. One, I think it was The Sun, had a double-page spread, and I was thinking, they've obviously gone to bed. That's the technical term for finishing the newspaper, send it to printing. It's gone to bed, and they haven't told them that Chuck's not dead. So Enver, unless I'm wrong again, unless he's died over the last 24 hours or so, I think Chuck Norris is still around. Lewis says, hit the likes, folks. Yeah. And we've got loads of people getting into the Starmers. And excuse me, I just need to take another gobful, so to speak. I'm not offering this around before you say anything. I don't share. Oh, Stuart, it's hitting the spot. You're wronging. So, who else is in the body of the kirk? Right, Tom Hardy's and Buck and Gavin Davison in the field, and Stephen Hall and Andrew James. Evening, Adrian. Evening, Stephen. Evening, everyone. Howdy in the field. Oh, I say, Stuart. Hang on a second. Right, we're all getting our ginger or fennel tea. Ooh, Amalia, choices. Fennel. Love the licorice taste. Love it, love it, love it. So where are we? Ah, yes, we're getting there. So I have parish notes that I need to give you before we start the live tonight. Don't be offering me a jammy dodger as well. Yeah, wrong. Right. Don't forget, you can hype any of the videos on the channel. It does seemingly help. I don't understand it yet fully, but you can hype the videos. You can hype the lives. I think it's under the 3 little dots or something. Just below this ugly fizzog, 3 dots, press on air, hype or promote or whatever. But I'll start the parish notes early before we begin tonight's mission, because, well, as I said on the live last night, maybe we'll talk about it over the Easter weekend, the Passion of the Christ and everything to do with Easter. So as we edge just under 2 weeks away from Easter, well, I'm a bit nervous saying this. I regret to inform you, and it's very disappointing, but there is a certain lack of discipline within the body of the kirk. First of all, bloody Sister Mary, if I can, say that in all reverence, Sister Mary's had to be spoken to repeatedly and firmly. Now, I'm not quite sure whether she enjoyed it or not, whether she was winding me up just for, because she was enjoying it. But I think my remonstrations with Sister Mary was futile. Because, well, Sister Mary and a big dog Dick has decided that Lent is not a time for reflection. I said to her, "You're a bloody nun, woman. How can you not do that?" She says, "Well, Reverend, we've had some right characters in the body of the kirk over the last 3.5 years, and it's kind of gotten to me." I said, "Would you mean just explain the phrase, gotten to me? Is there anything you need to tell me?" And she said, "Well, Easter's not a time of reflection. I'm not having any of your cross buns this year. I'm having no chocolate. I've given chocolate up for Lent, and my big dog Dick is getting a bit tired and sad that there's no chocolate going around. Have you got any free Mars bars?" I said, "No, all the choir boys have had those." So now Sister Mary has put her foot down in those high heel boots that she wears, and she said it's a time for experimentation. And I said, "You what?" She said, "I've told you, I've given up chocolate. I've replaced it with Jaeger bombs. Blame Stuart." I mean, which technically is not in the spirit of Easter, although it is a spirit of Easter. It's a skiing spirit. But she insists it's herbal, Reverend. Medicinal. I said, "What do you mean?" Meanwhile, the choir boys, great movie, by the way. Oh, the choir boys. They've been rehearsing, not hymns, no, Sunland songs. Well, they've been working on what they're now calling a contemporary interpretation of redemption. I said to them, "What? Are you getting, like, hyper from all these E numbers? Are you getting a sugar rush from all the Mars bars?" And they said, "Well, Reverend, it's less Amazing Grace. It's more it's more Tower Block Tracy garage remix with hand gestures." And they've said they will not be debuting their songs this evening. Well, not if I have anything to do with it. And then, I mean, it's been a bad enough day, but then we must address those bloody 3 Austrian nuns. You may have noticed a slight absence. That's because the 3 Austrian nuns, they've done a runner. Gone. Vanished. Vamooshed. They left behind only a note that simply reads, hang on, too much incense, not enough answers. Well, which, if I'm honest, is uncomfortably on brand. Now, we do have a new arrival. I will be telling you more on Wednesday because I've only just met the fella for 10 minutes earlier. We have a new bishop joining the kirk. Yes, we have. We have a new bishop joining the kirk. Freshly appointed, full of purpose. Slightly confused, though, but enthusiastic. You know how it is when you're in your teenage years or your early 20s and you're just only just starting getting the machine going, if you catch my drift. It's less technique, more enthusiasm. And I think that's what the bishop is, because I'm not going to do him down on his first day. I'm not going to bash the bishop. He's just, well, confused and enthusiastic. He said to me earlier, Reverend, what exactly do we do here? I said to him, it's the body of the kirk. It's a bloody church, man. What do you think we do here, apart from Mars bars and hot cross buns and Bamberg? And I said to him, Bish, we don't do sermons. We decode the world. So he's currently in the vestry trying to work out whether he's joined a church or a resistance movement. I did tell him about the missions. So I think it's confused him. So as for the Easter preparations, I've had inquiries, serious inquiries from parishioners asking, Rev, will there be Easter eggs this year? And the answer is, given the current state of things, you'd be lucky if you get a Mars bar and a handshake. But obviously I'll wash my hands before. Tower Block Tracy says, I do hope you're not saying my music, currently 23 in the Spotify chart, is a load of old toss. No, I'm saying it's bloody brilliant. But the choir boys wanted to do a cover version of that and, you know, copyright and all that. I've told them, pack it in. Which brings a whole new meaning to that particular phrase, considering it's Tower Block Tracy. But check out Tower Block Tracy on bloody Spotify. Well, I didn't, ever. But here's the little truth this evening. Where are we? A curly whirly. No. Toblerone. Easter Battenberg, Comic Mania. Don't forget everybody knows the gag now, so I don't have to explain it. It was McVitie's Rich Tea Bix sometime in the 80s, way before your time, so I won't make the point for quiz night. I'll stick to what we're going to talk about this evening. So, beneath the Battenberg, beyond the altar wine, through the chaos of the choir boys and wandering nuns, this place, the body of the kirk, is holding something together. 2 hands. Because out there, it's noise, confusion, contradiction. But in here, it's a gathering. We do something different. Great minds meet. We take the chaos, hold our lantern, make sure our lantern is lit, and we lead the naive through the chaos to the clarity. So, tonight, as always, give me 90 minutes and I'll give you the world. Shall we begin? So tonight, we're going to talk about the ambulance attack. We're going to talk about Iran, Karg Island. It's very important. We're going to deal or no deal. I mean, there's Beardy, Edmonds, not Edwards, Edmonds. He kind of packed it in. So Trump, he could always become the host of Deal or No Deal. He is, well, the art of the deal. Or does he have a deal? Or is it a great reset? We will talk about that later. Happy 20th birthday this weekend for Twitter, or is it still X? We're going to congratulate Twitter, and, well, what can I say? Bloody hell. There's more corruption. Mandy and the Missing Phone. Sounds like a children's TV series, but Mandy and the Missing Phone is deadly serious. So, it's truth versus narrative, it's noise versus reality, it's trust versus fracture. All the way through tonight's live 304. So we'll get into signals and smoke and the stories we've sold. Let me start with a simple question. How do you know what's real anymore? I mean, I'm checking out to find Netanyahu, whether he's AI or real. He's lost a ton of weight. Maybe he just took the bung out of his backside and shit himself. I don't know. Maybe it's Mount Jaro or tablets or medicines. I have no idea. I know he wasn't a well man 6 months ago. So the headlines are shouting. The timelines are scrolling. Breaking news every 5 seconds. And yet, the more noise there is, the less certain everything feels. So we're told, oh, there's a crisis, oh, there's a threat, oh, there's a ticking clock, and then suddenly there isn't. Deadlines pass. I mean, remember, the Orange Man gave a 48-hour deadline to the Iranians, and it looks like it's tick, 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 tick. It's not going to happen. So the warnings are kind of softening, stories are shifting, and tonight we, in the body of the Kirk, are going to do something slightly different. We're going to slow everything down so we can bring clarity to the chaos. And look, not just what's being said, but what's actually happening. Because behind the headlines, we've got ambulances being burned here in our own streets. There's conflicts abroad, rippling quietly into life at home here. Governments speak, but clarity doesn't always follow. That's because they're BS merchants. And somewhere between truth and theatre, darling, the public is left trying to piece all of it together. That's why we have a gathering, Sundays, Mondays, and Wednesdays, just to make some kind of sense of the chaos. And then there's something else. 20 years ago, really, 2006, a small idea was launched, a way of sharing short thoughts with the world. Now, wrong with short. A simple message, long and thin, too far in, short and thick, does the trick. Says a wise old ninja. But there is a simple message. What you doing? Raz Mackenzie. You see, Twitter, that platform, it grew. It became the place where news was breaking, where opinions formed, where narratives took shape, and where truth and noise now live side by side. 6-7. So tonight, this isn't just a program about events. It's about precision, about the gap between what we're being told and what we are feeling. Because in a world of constant updates, the hardest thing to find is still the simplest thing of all. What's actually going on? And you see, we can laugh. We should laugh. Not at the choir boys, but with the choir boys. Otherwise, they'll go on strike and we won't be able to give them any more Mars bars. Because if we don't laugh, the weight of it all becomes too much. But every now and then, something happens that pulls us out of the light and reminds us what's really at stake. Because while I've been joking about the new bishop and Sister Mary and a big dog Dick and the body of the Kirk, about Battenberg and altar wine, something very real happened in London. Something, in my view, serious. Something that cuts straight through the noise. 4 ambulances, Jewish community ambulances, set on fire. I am aware that the Jewish community in London, or more predominantly North London, have their own ambulance service. Very well aware of it. But I'm going to say this to you. Hatred? Proxy war? Or is it something breaking at home here in Blighty? So let's get something straight immediately. 4 ambulances, Jewish community ambulances, torched in London. Not in Tehran, not in Tel Aviv, in London. Now, the first reaction is obvious. Anger, shock, disgust. Because this isn't abstract. This is healthcare. This is community protection. This is something designed to save lives. being deliberately destroyed. And I'm going to layer this, I will get to the second layer in a moment. But these inept fools that are supposed to be the law makers and the police are supposed to uphold the law, not interpret the law. So the police have now deemed it a hate crime, anti-Semitic, a hate crime, quite rightly. Because there's too much of kowtowing to other communities in this country and not protecting other communities. You know who I'm talking about? The rape gangs. The Pakistani rape gangs. Protect them. Protecting them for the next general election. Well, I'll make a prediction for you. They're not going to need them. Why? Because the general election that they think is coming in 28 or 29, no, 2027. Because the country's going to be, well, it's going to be in a fine mess by that point. Geordie Nicholas says, the elephant in the room, Howie, get it out of the way. Well done, Saf. Thank you, Geordie Nicholas. I think we've got more important things to worry about tonight, but it's very kind of you. So the second layer, it's the claim of responsibility. An Iran-linked group may be real, may be opportunistic, may be not who they say they are. Look at the dancing Israelis on 9/11. And maybe, just maybe, there's something else entirely. And that's where this gets complicated, because in modern conflict, you don't always need to carry out the act to benefit from it. So what are we looking at? Let's break this down and decode it. We're looking at three possibilities. The first one is direct ideological hatred. Just strip everything away. This is anti-Semitism. Pure and simple. And the Met Police and the political classes have acknowledged that today. Because you don't burn ambulances unless you're trying to send a message. That message? You are not safe. And that's as old as history itself. We had one of the biggest Jewish communities outside of London, in Sunderland. There's a synagogue still in Sunderland that is still not functioning, but it's still there. But somebody owns it, nobody's allowed to go in it. But the synagogue from the Sunderland Jewish community was one of the biggest outside of London. And then you've got Clifford's Tower in York, where, I don't know, I had it. I can't remember the place in Israel where the Jews killed themselves rather than let the Romans into their mountain fortress. But Clifford's Tower was a place of the slaughter of Jews. And even the Jewish cemetery in York has been paved over with a car park. Jewish communities have had it tight in this country. And there are other communities in the north. Ideologists. And they're saying, oh, could be them. Could be Iranians. Could be Middle East. The persecution of the Jews is as old as history itself. Now, layer two, it could be just proxy signaling, a bit like virtue signaling, only a little bit more dangerous. If, and it's still an if, this is linked to Iran-backed networks, then this isn't just hatred, it's messaging. A signal that the conflict abroad can echo here at home, quietly, indirectly, deniably. And then the third level, domestic fracture. And here's the most uncomfortable possibility of all, that this has less to do with Iran and more to do with us. A society under pressure, tensions rising, communities pulling apart, global conflict being imported into local streets. Thank you, Les. Because here's the truth. You don't need a foreign power to fight or to light the match. If the atmosphere is already flammable, and this is where the question becomes unavoidable, Is anti-Semitism still alive? I'll answer it for you. Yes, clearly, visibly, undeniably. But the deeper question is this: is it being amplified by global conflict? Also, yes. Because when narratives dominate, they don't stay neatly contained. They spill into language, into attitudes, into actions, and suddenly what should be distant becomes local. So this isn't just about 4 ambulances, it's about a line being crossed in a city that prides itself on coexistence. So where's Mayor Carnage? Where is he? Praying in Trafalgar Square. And yet 4 Jewish ambulances get tortured, and he says absolutely bugger all. Odious little man. Toxicity writ large. I thought he was for all Londoners. Where's he gone? Where's Wally the Khan? Look, once healthcare becomes a target, once community infrastructure becomes symbolic, you're no longer in protest. You're in something much, much, much darker. And here's the final question, the one that sits quietly underneath all of this. Was this an organized signal? Or a symptom of something already breaking? Because if it's the first, that's a security problem. But if it's the second, that's a societal problem. So thank you for the Masada. Geordie Nicholas talks about Masada Mountain Fortress. Les says Masada. I've been to Masada. I went up the Snake Pass to see the sun rise at Masada over the mountains in Jordan. Just breathtaking. And it would take, I mean, by the time, so I got up some ungodly hour, like 4 o'clock in the morning, to get the pass, to go up the Snake Pass, to get into Masada itself. But then you get all of the tourists in there by 10:30, so it just gets packed. Loads of people in there. But basically, the Jewish community at Masada were, the Romans didn't come up the Snake Pass, because that's why the Jews stayed in the Masada mountain fortress. But on the other side of it, they could just roll up and storm the fortress. So all of the Jews in Masada killed themselves so that the Romans couldn't take them. Jordan Nicholas says, MI5 are keeping an eye on Besham. It has its own police now doing school-run protection. I mean, synagogues all over the country have security outside. I've done security for synagogues in a particular synagogue in North London. And it's this constant persecution. It's happened for hundreds and thousands of years. I mean, at one point, a king kicked all the Jews out of this country. Clifford Tower, just like Masada. And Masada's beautiful. It is breathtaking. It's quite high, but it is breathtaking. It's one of the first places I wanted to go to, apart from Jerusalem. I wanted to go and experience Masada, down by the Dead Sea. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want some interaction with you, if you don't mind. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I'm unsure, Rev. So I've got 2 questions for you. So, do you believe that this attack on the ambulances was driven by local hatred? Yes for 1. Or influenced by international conflict? That'll be 2. If you're unsure, just say 3. Do you believe this attack was driven by local hatred? 1. Or influenced by international conflict? 2. And if you don't know, 3. Oh, Benjamin Saltwell. Interesting. Karina says local hatred. Matt Whedon says international. Vixtech says unsure. So it's a real split. Davy Bevan, exactly the same locally. Kaz says internationally, as does... Let me have a look at this. God, I went too far south there. As does Dave Warrington and Soul Rebel, and I See You and Comic Mania. Jordy Nicholas thinks it's local, but Lauren Taylor and the Bovril and Tom Harney's and Albert Medcalf and Enver and Allison and Lauren Taylor all think it's international. Andrew James thinks it's local. Karen Boo's unsure. Do you know, if I was truthful with you, I couldn't say it was driven by local hatred. But then again, I'm influenced internationally. The IRGC, Iran in this country. That's never going to happen. Unless it's been planned by the intelligence services or somebody else. Because 9/11 was military. Military, military, military. I mean, it got rid of the paperwork for $2.3 trillion worth of corruption. Lionel says local, international rather. Stuart, Overall, Angelic Inspirations, Des Ashton, all saying international. Evening, Mad Matt. I see you. It's been, if it had been a mosque, imagine the outrage. Oh, I agree with you completely. Des Ashton, they have not blamed the Donald yet. IRGC have officers here allegedly. I mean, it's just a military arm of the mullahs. And I've said to you before, I believe what's going to happen, that the Trump is going to strangle them, metaphorically, of course, financially. And the IRGC are going to take over and say, we're in charge, let's go fight. But it'll be the Iranian people that rise up in a revolution that'll sort this all out. Can't see Trump waging war for much longer, because it's not war, it's conflict. It's not a war, it's conflict. But a lot of people are making money out of it, especially the oil dealers. Anti-Semitism has never gone away. Lionel should know. Hi Rev, PT Ham says local. Soul Rebel says ruddy hell. Brewdog, 554 million debt. Did they sell it for £1? Shan't comment on that, but Comic Mania says, but they should have guarded their ambulances better, to be honest. That a very valid point, Comic Mania. So another question. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Is the UK doing enough to protect Jewish communities right now, today, considering what happened over the weekend? Is the UK doing enough to protect Jewish communities right now? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. And if the North London Jewish community have to look after themselves, hiring security and ambulances, who would blame them? Because if this political class isn't protecting them enough, I mean, I've been sat next to Lord Levy in a synagogue. It's sacred and safe. A bit like the body of the kirk. It's sacred and safe. Because everyone that comes into the body of the kirk is looked after. We respect all. It's a broad kirk. And synagogues are beautiful. Maybe another night, another conversation. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So is the UK doing enough to protect Jewish communities right now? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I'm a bit unsure. Are you sure, Angelic Inspirations? So lots of Matthew Whedon, Karina and Alison and Davy Bevan and Des Ashton, Dave Warrington, Fatal Racing Driver, Karen Boo, Liga Lister, Catwoman Jones and Vix Tex and Lewis, and I See You and Ian McGee and Lionel and Amalia and Mike and Albert Medcalf and Tom Harney, Stuart, Lauren Taylor, the Bovril, Kaz, Enver, Peter Rees-Jones, Barry Wright. Andrew James says, no, Starmer said he will protect mosques. He did. He did. And now he's in a panshite now because literally he must be worn out. That boy must not be able to sleep at night because he just wants to use the Muslim vote to get Labour re-elected at the next general election. But it doesn't matter because there's 60-odd million Christians in this country of varying flavours, and we're just going to vote them out. They're finished. They're done. It doesn't matter what he does or says. A, we don't believe him. 2, we don't believe him. 3, we don't believe him. And 4, we don't fucking believe him. So he can talk till the cows come home, but it's just like... We don't believe him. Any of it. Any of it. Or Rachel the Robber Reeves or Ginger Growler, who's going to be she's going to have a go at trying being the next Prime Minister, but it's going to have to go to a party vote in September. Told you what the play is, and I've been telling you for a long time. May, local elections, they're going to be eviscerated. There is not going to be a Labour Party after the local elections, which is why they tried to delay them, because they know the party's over, as in, wine and party hats and balloons. It's over. But the Labour movement is finished. And we know why. Because of the inept fool they've got leading them in Parliament. He might be clever with the law, but the people are not interested in that. They're interested in them looking after us, because our votes dictate who goes in. So all of the backbenchers on the Labour Party, they're all going to bend over, you bugger! You're taking this fucker! That's coming after May. Don't you understand that? We're going to do to them what they've been doing to us for nearly 2 years. And we don't care what they say in the little Parliament hall. Why? Because now most of the people that are going to decide to vote against them, anybody but Labour and the Tories, and they're gone and they're done and they're finished, they're just sitting there watching it all. It's theatre, darling. They're watching queer as folk stand up and not answer a single question. And then they're also watching Lindsay Hoyle not actually get the Prime Minister to answer their bloody question. So, let's all laugh at Labour. Bye. Bye. Because you're gone. And it doesn't matter how many people go, oh, Adrian, that's a bit wild, a prediction. No, it's not. Because I talk to people on the streets. They've had enough of this whole system. And now they're not doing anything to protect the Jewish community. Because you know who the Jewish community are going to vote for next, don't you? That's a massive block vote. Hundreds of thousands, if they mobilise to get these anti-Semitic fools out of power, they're done. Just this one community, not protecting them, and then coming out and wringing their hands, where's Streeting going, oh, this is unacceptable, this is unacceptable. Oh, mate, man, just take your bullshit and go off. But the Prime Minister will say later that it's unacceptable. Has anybody seen him today? I think he's being rogered by one of the committees in Parliament today. Videos are emerging, but not protecting the Jewish community in this country. An absolute fool. And that, Angelic Inspiration says, UK should protect Brits first and foremost. Most of us don't have dual nationality with other countries we can flee to. Well, there is that, Angelic Inspirations, but a lot of the Jews in North London don't have dual nationality. They're Brits. For Labour, it won't be first past the post, it will be first past the job centre. That's very good, Kaz. In the field, I know a number of die-hard Labour voters, no matter what the party do, they still get the vote. Because they're all deviants. And do you know how I can say that? How I can say that they're rapists? How I can say? Because mine is in jail, was sentenced to 35 years. Labour councillor in Sunderland, and the Labour Party in Sunderland did absolutely nothing about it. He was giving clue after clue after clue, and historically, he's been raping kids for 50 years. And the Labour Party in Sunderland did absolutely naff all about it. So, yes, there might be die-hard Labour supporters there are in Sunderland. But I will be telling my story, shouting it from the rooftops about Sunderland Labour Party. Deviants, rapists and fools. Because it's my lived experience. In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, caring, understanding 90s types. Always via the back door. Stuart. Facial recognition ditched because it kept recognising the wrong demographic. Of course, because they've all got bloody beards. Facial recognition, not very good with beards. Just don't tell Prince Edward that. Starmer has billions for Zelensky and Muslims, but can do bugger all for the rest of us. I'm with you, Paulie. I mean, there's little Zelensky in the newspaper today saying, hang on, I'm here. The war in Ukraine, it's not going very well just because of everything in Iran. We're still at war with the Russians. And everybody's like, well, we know you're just the epicenter for laundering money. That's why nobody gives a flying. How's your hotels going in Eilat, by the way, Vladimir? Labour ditched the working class decades ago. I'm with you, Stephen Hall. Blame Tony Blair. 1997, it's nearly 30 years. Things can only get, corrupt and disabused. And there's Mandy. Hello, I'm Mandy. Fly me to America. And hello, Jeffrey. Can I have a new belt? They all sound the same. He's like, I'm a gay man. I wouldn't be interested in Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was bisexual. He slept with both men and women. There are very well-known names that he slept with male. So, Mandy, mate, it's not a very good defence. It's got holes in it, like your underpants, from what I've seen. So, should we talk about, let's get back on track about Iran, because the minute you start, I was a card-carrying member of the Labour Party in my teens. I believed in it. I believed in a political party for the working man. I believed in it in my soul. My dad, Labour councillor in Sunderland. And now I look at it and laugh. I will not be attaching any of my sway with the Labour Party because they're not worth it anymore. There's an old saying. If somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And the Labour Party and Labour politicians and MPs and lords within the Labour Party. Greville Janner. Google it. It's finished. The party's over. Just off you go. Because society has moved on. But they will hang on for dear death. So let's talk about what's actually going on in the world. Let's decode this Iran. I want to tell you about a little tiny island. It's barely a scratch on the map. 15 nautical miles off the coast of Iran. Most people have never heard of it. The Orange Man has. But if this goes wrong, you will feel it in your fuel bill. Look, we've had the price of a barrel of oil go up to $200 per barrel. And then they were trying to kind of soothe everyone to say, no, don't worry, it's not, it'll come back down. Now, they want you to feel fear. So you'll feel it in your fuel bill, you'll feel what's going on in your food bill, and possibly far more than that. So let's look at the facts. Clean, grounded. The island is called Karg Island, and here's why it matters. So just grab your cuppa and just sit while I give you the data, the information, the facts, clean and grounded. So this is why Karg Island matters. 90% of Iran's oil exports pass through Karg Island. It's a super terminal for massive tankers that can take hundreds of millions of barrels of oil at a time. And most of that oil ends up in China. So the little Chinese are like, Donald, man, Donald, what you doing? Because when they're not in front of the cameras, they talk like that. Hello, Donald. Yeah, it's me, Xi Pong, you're wrong. What you doing with Garg Island, man? This is not just an island. It's a valve. Turn it off and you choke the flow. So, do you want me to decode what's being planned? This is where it gets interesting. There's growing chatter, military chatter, about the United States drawing up plans to seize Garg Island. Not bomb it, not disrupt it, seize it. That means special forces, helicopter assaults, drone surveillance, and suppression of Iranian air defences. A full surgical operation. Now, it's not surprising me that we're seeing things come out of Iran, more videos, more social posts, because America bombed the kind of phone blockers that Iran was using so nobody in Iran could send anything to the Western world. And let me just pause for a moment and talk about drones. Now, you and I are thinking it's just one of those, one of the little gamers. He's got his drone up and he's taking pictures of weddings and stuff and stuff. These drones are hyper modern. They literally carry all kinds of electronica and computer programs, and these drones are not your little gamer drones that you take pictures at weddings with. These are mighty, mighty drones. And remember 9/11? I've said to you in some of the dives that I've done around 9/11, I said to you there was no pilots on board those planes. And the drones. Are you not asking the question, who's flying them? Don't have to. AI does it now. They've got military grade AI. They don't have to tell you. There's no pilots, nobody steering them, nobody doing anything other than, we're AI. We know what we're doing, taking over the world. As I say, a full surgical operation. It's the kind that doesn't send a message, hello, we're coming to visit you. It redraws the map. And here's the reality, even though it's not simple. There is a problem. Iran doesn't fight like the West. It doesn't go toe to toe. It bleeds you very slowly. Swarms of drones, fast attack boats, sea mines drifting with currents, cheap, mass-produced chaos. Not decisive war, endless friction. And suddenly, that clean operation becomes a drawn-out mess. Vietnam, anyone? So the wider global implications and international chessboard, let's zoom out from everything. Because this isn't just US versus Iran. Notice the language that we're using. Notice it's not Israel versus Iran, it's America versus Iran. So where's Israel in all of this? China, already in the background, cargo planes landing, equipment moving, support building. So the question becomes, if the United States takes the island, Garg Island, can it hold it? And if it does, what happens to global oil prices? What happens to supply chains? And how quickly does this stop being regional and start becoming global? And now, do you believe me about the Ben Gurion Canal? If you're looking at what's going on in the Middle East, where can you get your shipping, whether it's oil or military, where can you get it to go through without any of the other Arab states having any kind of control over you? Ben Gurion Canal. So you know that canal is going to be built over the next 10 years or so. It's going to cost a few billion to build it, but it'll make you $6 billion a year just for Israel, because it's going straight through the Gaza Strip. Can you see it's all baby steps? And can you see how fixing this jigsaw, now we know why. Suez Canal, built on sand. Ben Gurion Canal, cut through rock. It won't deviate at all. And instead of the oil nations coming down through the Strait of Hormuz into the Indian Ocean, they can just pipeline it into Israel or somewhere near, and in the Red Sea, unless it's the Houthis, of course. And remember, everybody's forgotten about those, so they're not real. They're just an excuse. Everything's coming together. 5 to 10 years. That's why the Donald is in power, to bring chaos so that they can bring the new world order into place. That's what's coming. The Labour Party and the World Economic Forum and the communists, whether it's Russia or China, who I would hazard Russia and China are working with the Donald in the background. Don't believe any of this theatre, darling. It's just for newspapers. It's just for show. The real power, it never makes itself known. So let me give you the decode of this whole situation. This isn't really about Karg Island. It's about control. Control of energy. Venezuela, Iran, Middle East, Russia. It's control of flow. Whoever controls the flow, Russia, China, technical term that we use in radio, but China are in a panshite because they haven't got the gas and oil. They've got to buy it from other people. 90% of Iran's oil goes through Karg Island. Venezuela, the most reserves on planet Earth. And the Donald just went in and nicked the president. So this is power. Hard power. Control of energy, control of flow, control of leverage, which is just as important. Because the modern world, you don't need to fire the first shot. You just need to control the tap. And that's the question tonight. Is this just contingency planning, or are we watching the early moves of something much, much, much bigger? Because once that island, Karg Island, becomes a target, everything connected to it becomes unstable. Reg D, you're wrong. Well, I never knew that the Chinese had Geordie accents. Reg D, you're wrong. How do I shite? Mackham. So that's what we've got to keep an eye on. The deadline is going to pass once we go to bed in this country tonight, because it's on American time. And if Iran don't play ball, and they are negotiating in the background, don't believe that, oh, we're the Iranians, and we're not negotiating with anybody. You'll find out that they are, because if 90% of their oil goes through Karg Island, and it's not going through Karg Island at the moment, they're not making money on a daily basis, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So just keep an eye on it. That's why I do these decodes. And smash the likes before I get on to something a bit tasty. Smash the likes so tonight we can get it over 100 before I complete the live tonight. Albert Metcalf, of course, it's the Rothschilds banks. Well, they'll have the Iranian central bank. They managed to grab hold of Venezuela and Iraq and Syria. So now there's only North Korea, Hungary, Russia and China. At one point there was 8. They're now down to 4. They'll soon come on board, don't you worry. It's Agenda 2030, don't you know? In the field, last week, Netanyahu was talking about oil pipelines being laid into Israel and to their ports. Handy that, ain't it? Well, remember, there's a whole load of gas and oil under the East Mediterranean Sea, just off the coast of Israel, under the Gaza Strip. That's where they're going to start and make money from. And if the Middle East countries want to run pipelines through to Israel, to the ports, through to the East Mediterranean, they can literally get those to anywhere without going through the Indian Ocean or south of Africa, or be worried about the Suez Canal, which, remember the green, can't remember what it was called, but there was a ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal. There was a reason behind that. And now you're finding out. So shall we talk about political corruption? Well, it's entirely how you view it. I want to talk about McSweeney. You know, the phone that wasn't lost. We were told it was lost. But there's something poetic about this particular story. Not poetic in a beautiful way, poetic in a tragically predictable way. A phone goes missing. Or it's not lost. Stolen. And suddenly, messages vanish. Connections disappear. And in the gaps, questions now start to breathe. Because has everything been backed up to the cloud? Has the stolen phone been reported to the police? And when was it reported to the police? There's some really obvious questions that just immediately trip off the tongue. This is not just about a device. This is about access and who spoke to whom, what was said, and more importantly, what can no longer be proven. We're told it's unfortunate because they know that the military, 77th Brigade, they would just take the phone and could literally get everything off that phone. We're told it was bad timing, just one of those things. But the public instinct, the story keeps going daily. Our collective gut, so to speak, says something else entirely. Because when information disappears, at the exact moment it becomes inconvenient, that's not just bad luck, that's narrative control. And here's the deeper pattern. You and I, we no longer trust absence. Silence used to mean nothing. Now silence means everything. A missing phone is no longer just a missing phone. It's a missing piece of the truth. And in March 2026, the public doesn't shrug anymore. We lean in. We want to hear the truth. Because you and I have seen this story before. Different names, same script, and every single time the same question lingers in the air. What was on that phone that we were never meant to see? So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The old Bovrel's thrown his hands up. I haven't got it. Me neither. The doctor gave me a cream, said it would go away in a fortnight. Ever Given. And was that the ship's name? Evergreen, Ever Given? Evergreen, says Kaz. So, and in the field makes a very valid point. All of that phone theft in London, you would have thought he'd know better, but it's convenient. All that phone theft in London. Oof, that's convenient. And the Met don't even investigate it anymore. But the funny thing is that if it's an iPhone, there will be Search My iPhone or whatever it's called. And when that's switched off, they'll know where the phone was when it was switched off. Electronica is far too sophisticated now. So 2 questions for you. 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I'm unsure. So relating to the Mandy and McSweeney phone stolen, if key evidence disappears at a critical moment, do you assume incompetence, 1, or intent, 2, or are you still a bit unsure? If key evidence disappears at a critical moment, and that's what is happening here, do you assume incompetence, 1, or intent, 2, get rid of the phone? It's like a TV spy thriller. Get rid of the phone. Find My iPhone, it's called. Thank you, Stuart. Met too busy investigating tweets. That's a very good point, Amalia. Let's have a look. Everybody's going. I love the fact that we're a bunch of cynical old tarts. Elliot and Garen Davis and Dolby. The U-Bottle says, have an earphone. Stuart, Find My iPhone, it's called. Gribbo and Matt Whedon and Kaz and Comic Mania and Lauren Taylor and Vixtex and Nathan Diamond. Napoleon Blown Apart, definitely too. Davey Bevan and Enver and Fatal Racing Driver Annie Watt. And in the field, Lionel, Angelic Inspirations, Daft Question, I See You says 2. Barry Wright, and Legalista, Comic Mania, Too Much of a Convenient Coincidence, and Mad Matt and Karina, Ian McGee, 2, definitely. Tom Harney's 2, Accidentally on Purpose. So everybody, the cynical old tarts in the body of the Kirk, like, aye, right, mate, don't pull the wool over our eyes. We've seen right through you. We've also seen the belts that you like to buy with Jeffrey Epstein's money. Been here before with the WhatsApp message scandal, says Gribbo. I know. GCHQ will have it all, says Des Ashton. I know. Phone will be in a safe in somebody's house. Can't name them, Enver, but thank you very much for trying. So, second question related to the phone being stolen. Do you still trust official explanations when information conveniently goes missing? Not talking about the phone per se, but do you still trust official explanations when information conveniently goes missing? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. I mean, I figure I know how you're going to answer, but answer all the same. I'd love to know your... Dolby says no. Karina and Elliot and Legalista and Fatal Racing Driver, Gribbo, Matt Whedon, Matt UK, Comic Mania, Nathan Diamond, Alison, Barry Wright, Karen Boo, Amalia, Davey Bevan, Lauren Taylor, In the Field, Ian McGee, Lewis, Annie Watt, Hugh Bovril, Lionel Stewart, I see you. No. And yet they're putting it in the newspapers as if we are believing them. There's Geordie Nicholas and Angelic Inspirations and Oval Raw, Napoleon Blown Apart. Bloody definitely 2 again. Des Ashton, 2, never did. Believe nothing, question everything, says Andrew James. Perfect. And I see you, says, lots of people still believe. I mean, how can they be so naive? But that's why we're here. Because we don't need their naivety. We're cynical as it is. We can see right through their brown stuff, and we don't take it anymore. We're as mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. Broadcast. Brilliant film. No bugger believes a word that any of them say. Lauren Taylor says, I agree. Peter Conway, 2. And into the field, all those MPs that have left folders and briefcases on trains. Guess this is the modern take on it. I know, very convenient. But should we look at the new presenter of Deal or No Deal, the American version? So look, the latest today, because Trump's been taking questions and having a presser and giving his take on things. So he's saying today that he's postponing power plant strikes after the US-Iranian talks. But Tehran, the mullahs, have denied talks have taken place. You see, it's the optics. It looks like Trump's won. And the mad mullahs are going, not on your... And then all of a sudden, 4 ambulances are attacked in London. Me? I don't believe it was the Iranians. Not by a country mile. It was somebody who wants to inflame this. So, the orange man, the Donald, says there's been productive conversations about a complete and total resolution to the conflict in the Middle East. He says he will postpone any and all strikes against Iranian power plants, this is just this afternoon, and the energy infrastructure for a 5-day period. He's done exactly the same with Russia and Ukraine. He got them to the table by saying, right, nothing for 5 days, and then we'll bomb the bejesus out of you. Now, Iran's Fars news agency, which is affiliated with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC for easy reference, has quoted an unnamed Iranian source as saying there is no direct or indirect contact with Donald Trump. Now, technically, that's probably true. Why can I say that? Because it won't be Trump that's negotiating the deal. It'll be his underlings. Now, this source from the Revolutionary Guard Corps news agency, says, after hearing that our targets would include all power stations in West Asia, he backed down. Because Iran has told America, you start messing with us, we're just going to loose all the missiles everywhere. And for your reference and entertainment, can you remember when President Skidmark paid Iran for one hostage to be released back to the Americans? $6 billion. Now that buys you a shit ton of drones and missiles, ballistic or otherwise. And there's President Skidmark saying, is it ice cream time yet? Oh, Mr. President, the Iranians are wanting $6 billion for one hostage. Can we give it to them? And President Skidmark's turned around and gone, look, we lost $2.3 trillion in 9/11, or leading up to, so here, just give them the $6 billion. We don't want it. They can do whatever they want with it. Or they can buy our arms and armaments from our country because we're one of the best. So in a message that was shared on, Telegram, the app, the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, says it is currently conducting strikes in the heart of Tehran. So you've got the Donald saying one thing, you've got Israel and the IDF saying another. And remember, this is not America versus Iran. This is Israel versus Iran. And America is just Israel's attack dog. So Iran's foreign ministry has issued a statement saying, we deny what US President Donald Trump has said regarding oh, bloody hell, what was that? Well, so he's said that negotiations, is that another bomb gone off? Do they not know we're in Tehran? Tehran's a beautiful place. Can they not just leave us alone? So negotiations taking place between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran. Are you not noticing what's happening here? Not the language, the positioning, the optics. Iran versus America. It's not. It's Iran versus Israel. That's what's going on. Just America is Israel's attack dog. And there was President Skidmark. He gave Netanyahu, and remember, Netanyahu stays as Prime Minister of Israel whilst there's a war going on. That's why they call it a war. And Netanyahu asked for a pardon. And the president of Israel said, well, you've got to admit to doing wrong before we can give you a pardon. No. I'm not doing that. No. I want a pardon. And the president of Israel's like, no, Bibi, you've got to admit to doing wrong before we can pardon you. We can't pardon you when you've done nothing wrong. Oh, bugger this. I'll just go and have a war with Iran then. So this is all being quoted by CBS, the BBC. The foreign ministry adds, the Islamic Republic of Iran adheres to its position, rejecting any type of negotiations before achieving Iran's goals from the war. So can you see? It's just optics. That's all it is. Trump wants to claim victory. He's given them 2 days, and I'm not sure they've adhered to that. He's given them 5 days, and then that's what he did with the Ukraine. Eventually, Sniffy got off the coke and went and brokered a deal. But he's still trying to get money out of Starmer and the French. Did you see his show from New Zealand? He got a part-time YouTube channel too. Don't ask me how I know. Who? Hang on. Oh, Noel Edmonds. Oh, yeah. No, I can't. Oh, dear Lord, stop making me be naughty. I can't tell you. Maybe one day. And it's a bit like, Cliff Richard. Doesn't actually exist. Harry Webb. But Cliff Richard. There's other videos on this channel that I've done previously. I won't bring it up tonight, but Enver, I don't care who hosts it. Just want people to win loads. Me too, Amalia. Quite like Noel Edmonds on Deal or No Deal, but that's the art of the deal. That's the Donald. We've got more questions coming up, more interaction, but I just want to, I kind of want to ask you, not questions as such, but how do you feel about when you go out and in pubs you can't smoke now? Is that a good thing? Hang on. So Kaza said, I see the two Iranians who tried to get into Faz Lane Naval Base have had a hearing in court, but details of the charges have been hidden. Sounds like the old D-Notice special. Either that or somebody has decided with intimate knowledge of the Crown Prosecution Service that he doesn't want, or they don't want, any information getting out that might be embarrassing for the British government. I think that's more like it. But the D-Notice, yeah. Sorry, I see you. What's a D-Notice? A D-Notice is it's one of those coveralls where the government decides that it's because of government and UK security, they can't allow the information to get out into the public domain. They kind of call it a D-Notice, but a D-Notice doesn't really exist anymore. It's just one of those things from 40, 50, 60 years ago that people still reference. But it is to stop any information getting out that might be a threat to UK security. Mind you, that's what happened with the Dunblane shooter, Thomas Hamilton. D-Notice. And everybody was like, why? He was just a lone gunman. He was a bit of a nutter, according to the reports. You just wonder why, don't you? Yeah, me too. I wonder what he was a procurer of. Just asking for a friend. It'll never come out. Ever. So I want to ask you about, because I loved, you'd go out to a pub, have a few jars, and come back smelling like an old ashtray. But there's something more subtle about all of this, because they're now talking about vaping. And you can't vape within enclosed spaces. So I just want to ask you a question, not for answering in the chat, but cigarette breaks. Because I used to work with somebody who would have at least a 10-minute break every hour that they were working, whether we were working 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours. So in essence, if you're working a 12-hour shift, that's 2 hours of your shift that you wouldn't be working. You'd be out on a fag break. Is that fair, or is it just fantasy? So this one on the surface feels small. Cigarette breaks. Few minutes here, few minutes there, 10 minutes an hour. But if you step back from it all, suddenly it's not small at all. Bunch of slackers. Because this is about something much bigger. Fairness. I don't smoke. I've never smoked a single cigarette in my life. 9 out of 10 workers are now saying today, enough. Not because they hate smokers, of course, but because they feel the imbalance. They're knocking their pipe out in work all day, every day. And then the smokers are like, or the vapors are going, I'm. So if one person steps away 10 minutes every hour, that's not a break. That's a completely different shift pattern. And the quiet frustration builds, not loudly, steadily. I remember people going, I'm under stress, I need to go for a vape. Look, I understand if you're addicted. I completely get it. But don't take the proverbial. Because the person who stays at their desk sees it, feels it, counts it. And here's the truth that nobody really wants to say out loud. Workplace culture isn't breaking because of big policies. It's breaking because of small resentments that go unspoken. This obviously isn't about cigarettes. It's about contribution, effort, and the invisible ledger we all keep in our heads. Am I pulling my weight? Hang on. They've had 5 fag breaks over the last few hours. Are they pulling theirs? And when this imbalance tilts, even slightly, trust erodes. So the question isn't whether cigarette breaks should exist. The real question is, can a system survive if it feels unfair to the people within it? Because once fairness goes, everything else follows. So, right, you ready to vote? Bit of interaction. 11% of the population still smoke, down from 80% during the 50s and 60s. I mean, my mum and dad, like, they were chain smokers, I swear. And I used to say to them when I was little, we'd, sit round as a family and watch TV, and I'd have to use a knife to cut through the haze. And I'd say to them, how many fags are you smoking a day? Oh, about 40. No wonder the daft arse died from bloody cancer. So I'm going to ask you a question. It's 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I'm unsure. Should all workplace breaks be equal, regardless of personal habits? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Should all workplace breaks be equal, regardless of personal habits? Where's in the field? Hang on, in the field. What? Hang on, strippers? You didn't have strippers in work, did you, in the field? Bloody hell, what kind of workplace did you work in? Enver says, everywhere I have worked didn't give extra time for smokers. Nicky Watson, no. Comic Mania, too many skivers at work these days. Glad I retired. I'm with you, Comic Mania. I'm not far away myself. The old Bovril was talking about 11% of the population. I see you said, what about Fat Ann when who sneaks out to buy cake? Yeah, there is that. I mean, I worked in a workplace doing night shifts and stuff, and it was like, oh yeah, we'll go and get everybody a kebab or whatever it was, just as an example. And they'd be gone an hour and a half, and I'd be like, Jesus H, what are they doing? Stripping the meat from the cow. Oh, you're funny, Adrian. I said, no, I'm not. An hour and a half. Andrew James says, bring back drinking at work. Yeah, you can't drive home after the shift, though. Andrew, well said. Bloody hell, you, Bovril, we had strippers at work. Wire strippers. I'm with you. Mind you, during this was in my youth, obviously. I worked in nightclubs as a DJ, and during the miners' strike, we used to raise some money for them, so we would have gentlemen evenings. Dear Lord, I mean, when the beer starts flowing, I mean, my eyes. That's all I'm going to say. Smoking on the job, people work harder. Ooh, interesting point, Paulie Galtieri. So, let me get to the votes. So the question was, can we bring back Morris dancers in the pubs in the summer? Said Andrew James. Steady on, old boy. Should all workplace breaks be equal, regardless of personal habits? So Dolby and Mad Matt UK, Matt Whedon, Vixtex, Kaz, Comic Mania, Fatal Racing Driver, Dave Warrington, and I See You, and Albert Metcalf, and Pauline Galdieri, and Alison, and Annie Watt, and Karen Boo, and Ian McGee, Lionel, the old Bovril, Lauren Taylor, Reg D, Garen Davis, Tom Harneys, Peter Conway, Lauren Taylor, Angelic Inspirations. Hang on, Lauren, you voted twice. Lewis, Enver. I would have gotten a clip round the ear if I'd said that to my dad. Nathan Diamond, Andrew James, and Napoleon Bonaparte, and Amalia says one within reason, and Enver. So thank you to everyone for your votes. I get it, but there's a second. So if someone takes significantly more breaks than you, does that change how you see them? Those that go, well, you go first on your break, and then I'll go after you. So you kind of go, oh, okay, I've got a 15-minute break, or half an hour, or an hour, or whatever. And then they take the mickey. So if someone takes significant more breaks than you, does that change how you see them? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. And I think it's moderation in all things, really. Geordie Nicholas says, young lad at work gets 10 minutes dinner extra because he can't eat his dinner in 30 minutes. HR said it was unfair for the big lad. Dear Lord. What are these people on nowadays? Jesus. Haven't they heard of speed eating? Stoddy sandwiches. Work used to provide us with taxis to get home across London. Those were the days. Wow, Amalia. Very nice. Hen do's are worse. Okay, I'll go with that one. So Rusty Roaming says, when my missus was an office supervisor, she worked out that 2 times 15-minute cig breaks a day added up to 3 days. So she arranged with the non-smokers on the quiet an extra 3 days unofficial annual leave. Fantastic, Rusty Roamings. You see, it's about fairness. We Brits, we love fairness. So Vix Tex and Dolby, Catwoman Jones and Allison and Barry Wright, Nathan Diamond, Comic Mania, Stuart. If my workmate is gone for 30 minutes, I know he's gone for a smoke break. Dave Warrington, Amalia, Fatal Racing Driver, Enver, don't like Skivers, Kaz and Ian McGee, everybody's saying yes. Garen Davis, Karina, Tom Harneys, the U Bovril, In the Field, Geordie Nicholas, Reg D. Angelic Inspiration says, I'm not diabetic, but they have to pee more often. There is a point, but that's medical. Smoking's not medical. Napoleon Blown Apart. I don't bloody care anymore. I'm retired, so there. What about time lost to magic carpet kisses? Paulie Gallieri. Angelic Inspiration. I don't know what you mean. Angelic Inspirations. Valid point, Paulie. So, thank you to everyone's vote. I just, I want to get a couple of more things in. I said 90 minutes and I'll give you the world. Again, the stuff that I didn't do last night, stuff that I haven't been able to do tonight, I might leave it until Wednesday. I'll do something tomorrow. Decoded Daily coming tomorrow. We're going to start that. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a 12-minute piece about 3 of the main stories of the day. That's probably going to be the format. I'm going to look at stuff and decode it and give you a kind of a morning briefing, what to watch out for. Sir Keir Starmer resigns. That's coming, don't worry. But I wanted to say happy birthday. 20th? Can you remember 2006? I know that's when I joined Facebook and Twitter, 2006. And I was lucky in the early days to actually get at Adrian Allen, my real name. But this weekend, Twitter, 20-year struggle for free speech online. I mean, it's a platform that once boasted that its free speech credentials unleashed an unprecedented wave of censorship. And then, I don't know, but without Elon Musk, politics and free speech would have been a very different landscape, a very different place. We're very lucky to have places where, like the Body of the Kirk, we can come here and have adult conversations about lots of different topics in many different ways. But sometimes we get a tap on the shoulder. Oi, 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 you can't say that. What do you mean I can't say it? Didn't say anything. Oh, well, we know what you meant. No, you don't. No, you don't. My language is, I would like to think, precise. So Johnny Nicholas says, back in the day, the driver would go on huge, long trips that nobody knew what for. He was realising the manager's racing pigeons. Oh, really? He was releasing the manager's racing pigeons all over the country. The managers. I mean, I nearly killed myself once. I got him back, though. He said to me, the manager in the garage that I served my apprenticeship with, he said, I've just been charging the battery. Can you put it on my car? So I was like, yeah, right, okay. So I went and grabbed the 2 charging points, and there was this almighty bang, and I was flung across the room, and I stood up, and everybody came running in. What's wrong? I said, hey, nothing, it's fine, done. And they went, what was the bang from? I said, I don't know. I think I've shagged the boss's battery for his car. It was some little insignificant motor. I can't remember what it was, but I nearly killed myself. 240 volts, that's enough. That'll make your hair curly. Are you being served was very accurate. Oh, yes. Nicotine helps greatly with ADHD. Fact says Angelic Inspirations. Yeah, but not the stuff in cigarettes. That's got like 250 different chemicals in it. If it was in jungle, in Amazon, and it was just a leaf, then yeah, I might go with that. But I just want to say happy birthday to Twitter. Thanks very much. It's at Adrian Allen if you happen to be on there. But before I finish, I want to talk about Hugh Edwards, because he's not happy. He's been seemingly, he's been quoted in the press today, and he's not happy. But now he's on telly tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, Channel 5. There's a docudrama, which I will watch. I'll either record something afterwards, or I might just pop on and give you my take on it. And I'm just calling this The Fall and the Mirror, because this story literally is refusing to go away. And that actually tells you something. Because when a story lingers, it's not just about the individual, it's about what they represent. A trusted face, a voice in the living room. Would you say a symbol of authority? And then the fall. Not sudden, but it was bloody seismic what was going on. The furore. Who was the BBC presenter? Excuse me. They were naming everybody on radio and that. And it was his wife days after, when people were named by other people and were saying, it's definitely him. Well, I know of one YouTuber that said, it's him, and named this presenter. And then when they found out it was Hugh Edwards, deleted that video pretty damn quick. Hello, Kitty. But now, even though it was seismic, we're in the aftermath phase, where there's something even more uncomfortable happening. Reframing. Narratives shifting. Tone softening. Context gets introduced. There is no bloody context in this. He was shagging rent boys. And the rent boys, who at first said he wasn't shagging me, I was just sending him monkey pictures, through the legal team that Hugh Edwards paid for, he's now saying, oh, yeah, we did. I mean, can you not feel the tension in the room? How do you talk about someone who was once trusted, but is now something else entirely? Because here's the truth. The public doesn't just react to the crime. They react to the collapse of trust. I've told you, Brits, all about fairness, all about integrity. And the Welsh and the Scots, even more so. Having worked in both countries and lived in all three countries, I've just not ever lived in Republic of Ireland or Northern Ireland. But I tell you this, the Celts, it's all about integrity. But now we English, this is how we react to the collapse of trust. That's the real wound. Not just what happened, but who it happened through. And now there's a docudrama, a retelling, an interpretation, and the question becomes almost philosophical. Is this 2026 version of accountability? Or is this rehabilitation? Remember he released that photograph, the black and white photograph, a couple of months ago? I would suggest that audiences like the congregation in the body of the Kirk are much more sophisticated now. This is 2026. We had lockdown 6 years ago to this weekend. 6 years. We've been through so much more as a collective. And audiences, telly or otherwise, are so much sharper now. Audiences can feel the difference. So as this story continues to unfold, what we're really watching isn't just one man's downfall and continued downfall. We're watching society wrestle with something far bigger. What do? When the people we trusted the most break that trust, give me a pound. Do we seek truth? Or do we quietly reshape the story until it fits again? Angelic Inspiration says, I don't want to be in his gang. Geordie Nicholas, they walk amongst us and have no shame. Wired different to us. Very good points, both. Lauren Taylor says, couldn't give a rat's ass about Hugh Edwards' unhappiness. In fact, I think he should be in purgatory. Well, he will be when he eventually gets there, Lauren. Amalia, Andrew James, I don't know anything about him, yet alone he had children, poor things. And a wife. And did the wife know? that he was at it with rent boys or teenagers? I mean, the look on her face as she had to give the statement about the BBC presenter's my husband. I mean, they've divorced. So the pain on that woman's face. Can you imagine, as the women in the body of the coat, can you imagine waking up one day and you find out that your partner's looking for videos of kids eventually being found guilty of child pornography? Well, no, he pled guilty, but he was charged, pled guilty, and then sentenced. I mean, I worked with someone who I said to one of my colleagues, "Hey, what's happened to so and so?" "Oh, don't you know?" I said, "No." I said he was a bit odd, but he was going into work one day, and the cops doorstepped him and said, "Are you so and so, so and so?" "Yeah. Why?" "Come with us." "Why?" "I'm going into work." "Come with us." Kiddie porn. And I sat there thinking, I can't work with that guy. And I had no inclination. But you don't, do you? They're very plausible. Very plausible. So, let me ask you some questions. Angelic Inspiration says, Vixtex says, heartbreaking as fuck, 100%. Paulie says, Mick Hucknall. All right, okay. Angelic Inspiration says, doubt if Edward's wife knew. They are incredibly devious and incurable. Amalia says, oh my God, it doesn't bear thinking about. Not going through glitter songs too much, but through the years is now iconic. I've done things so untold. I wonder how I made it through the years. And Vixtex, very good full stop. It's the ones you least expect. So, 2 questions. One for yes, 2 for no, 3 for I don't know. Question. Should public figures who fall from grace ever be rehabilitated in the media? Philip Schofield, for example. Should public figures who fall from grace ever be rehabilitated in the media? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for don't know. Stuart says, my dad worked with a lad who had that stuff on his phone and laptop. He was arrested and jailed. It's unacceptable on every conceivable level. I mean, I do feel sorry for, as I was saying last night on the live, the stuff that Hugh Edwards was looking at, the stuff that David Coote was looking at, were real kids, real children. And these were the worst grading of paedophilia. I mean, do you not get an anger that rises, like a rage that rises? When, I mean, I know there's some errant and complete wronging as parents, but they've only got one job, to protect the kids. That's the only job that they have as parents. And protect them from themselves when they're teenagers and think they know better. And then when they get into their 20s and still think they know better, just push them out the door. Life will teach them they're not. So should public figures who fall from grace ever be rehabilitated in the media? And Dolby, Napoleon Blown Apart, Stuart, Amalia, Alison, Lauren Taylor, Comic Mania and Vixtex and Dave Warrington and Gribbo and Legalista, Paulie, not for groom or nonsing, absolutely no. Tom Harney's, the Bovril, Keith James, Albert Medcalf, Fatal Racing Driver, Lionel, Catwoman Jones, In the Field, Angelic Inspirations, Napoleon Blown Apart, 1 and done. Kaz, Garen Davis, Nathan Diamond, Barry Wright, Reg D, Ian McGee, Matt Whedon, and Karen Boo says, it's got to be 2. You can't trust them once they have been found out. Amalia, how can they be rehabilitated? Full stop. And In the Field, Edwards wants to give his side of the story. Man has no shame. Who wants to hear it? So, on the back of In the Field, I'm going to ask you this question. Is telling their story again accountability, as In the Field says. Edwards wants to give his side of the story. Man has no shame, and who wants to hear it? So, is telling their story again, is it accountability or is it image repair? 1 for accountability, 2 for image repair, 3 for I don't know. I don't think they can ever rehabilitate. I mean, there was Ian Huntley. Can't really talk about it, but he's not of this planet anymore. Why? Well, I'm not sure whether there'll be a lot of coverage of that particular trial, but right, we'll get to your vote. It's got to be 2. You can't trust them. Thank you, Karen and Amalia. And In the Field, Angelic Inspirations. They really can't. So it's interesting. There's a couple of Lauren Taylor says it's a basic instinct to protect the young. I know, but it's a rage that just sits at the pit of your stomach. I mean, Holly and Jessica, Ian Huntley, we've known of other children, both male and female assailants and abusers. And it just makes me weep. I'm not apportioning blame anywhere, because the fact that this evil has done what they've done to children, and there are lots of them around, especially in the bloody Catholic Church. Don't get me started. So the question is accountability, or is it rehabilitation? And not rehabilitation. It's not accountability for sure. Stuart says, I can't even put into words how sickening it is. And yes, it does bring out rage in me. I don't understand how someone could even bear looking at stuff like that. Sometimes I'm really happy that I'm dull and boring, because I know what's out there outside the front door. And I know that there are clubs, loosely, that make sure that you're one of them before they allow you in. MPs for a kickoff. Because there's so much toxicity and evil in the Ozempic palace. Because they're just after stuff for themselves. I mean, they're mostly bloody lawyers and or legal eagles. And the bloody legal eagles don't even like each other. These are the people that use, their personality as contraception. So thank you to everybody for the votes, to Matt, Whedon, Dolby, Stewart, Albert Medcalf, Barry Wright, and Legalista, Fatal Racing Driver Allison, Lionel, Vix Tex, Ian McGee, the Bovril, Lewis and Catwoman Jones, Geordie Nicholas, Dave Warrington. Too many of them in the entertainment world, says the Bovril. Well, as I told you, I knew in the 80s about Schofield. And the guy that told me died a couple of days ago. I just got word from one of my friends in radio. It's a guy called Dave Jameson. Lovely man. Gave me my big break in radio. Lovely, lovely guy. And we were just having a cup of tea or coffee or something. We were just talking about my show. And he was the one that said, if you believe you've ever done the perfect radio show, get out the industry. Because it's just down from that point. And he said to me about Schofield. He tried to rehabilitate himself on Channel 5. Here we go again. And see, Hugh was citing his mental health issues as a reason for his behaviour. No excuse. Look, he stood there with his missus. She read the statement and said as soon as he's well enough, he will defend this. And he bloody didn't. He was guilty as charged, Your Honour. And then 6 months suspended for 2 years. And these were real kids. Under 16, however you want to frame it. So, watch it if you wish. Andrew James says, like Glitter, he blamed drugs, the death of Mike Leander, and money woes. You can't make it up. Their excuses are feeble because there are not excuses to be a nonce. I'm completely with you, Andrew. And Geordie Nicholas says, adults getting up to what they lawfully enjoy, fill your boots. But the Battenberg parties, the congregation wouldn't believe if you told them the truth. I know. That's why we introduced the story of the Battenberg. Everybody in the body of the kirk knows it. Some newbies might not, but we all know it. And that was a radio presenter organising it in a hotel at the Metro Centre in Newcastle. I won't go into the details here because I want to round things off. But smash the likes before I give the closing benediction to this evening's gathering in the body of the kirk. Smash the likes. Let's please, if we can get another 10 and get it over 100, that would be much appreciated. So, finding solid ground, whether it's Iran or Edwards or anything in the news, where does this all leave us? All of this, the noise, the contradictions, the questions. We've seen in the body of the kirk tonight that the world doesn't always move in straight lines. It's not linear. It's a bit messy, real life. It signals, it hesitates, it recalibrates. We were told it's war 2 weeks ago, and now we find, well, it's more of a skirmish. Theatre, not in the traditional sense. And somewhere in that movement of everything in the news cycle, the stories change. I mean, we've seen how quickly they can change. Global tension can become local consequence. London, Jewish taxi, ambulances. Headlines can outpace reality. Uncertainty, it can be manufactured just as easily as doubt. And maybe that's the point. Look at where we are with AI. Not that everything is unclear, but that clarity now requires effort. And that's why I do my research for you on these 3 lives, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Because we live in a time where information is instant, but the understanding is not. Where everyone has access through their phone, from the palm of their hand, but not everyone has context. Where the loudest voice is not always the truest voice. And yet, there's something reassuring in that, because I would suggest it means the responsibility hasn't disappeared. It's just shifted. So it sits with all of us to question, to compare, to pause and not react. Respond. Because the world isn't just what we're told, it's what we choose to believe. And perhaps tonight, in all of the noise, we've taken one small step back toward something steadier, something quieter, something real. So, next live, 7:30 Wednesday, Parish Note 7:15. Stay curious, stay grounded, and don't mistake volume for truth. Thank you, Stuart. I'm so glad that you continue to support the channel and enjoy the mission, young sir. So Wednesday, thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. My name's Adrian Allen. Wherever you go and whatever you do, look after yourself, you, your family, and your community. Take a little emergency Battenberg. You never know when it'll come in handy. You never know who you're going to sway. If you have your own altar wine, it would save the body of the kirk a few bob. But just look after yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be safe. Be well. Let's see what the world brings us tomorrow, and Hugh Edwards tomorrow night. My name's Adrian Allen. Thank you. That was live 304 of the Theatre of the Mind. And this is not a show. This is a mission. And we go again. 305, Wednesday, 7:30. See you then.